You've skipped an oil change before. Maybe it was 500 miles over. Maybe it was 5,000. Maybe right now your windshield sticker has a date from 2 months ago and you keep telling yourself you'll get to it this week. I want to show you what's actually happening inside the engine while you wait because the torn down. Engines tell a story that's hard to look away from. And before you assume this doesn't apply to you, it applies to almost every driver in America, because most people genuinely don't know what oil actually does inside an engine or what happens when it goes bad. The damage builds quietly, the bill arrives all at once. Real quick before we go further, if you're the kind of person who wants to stop getting blindsided by repair bills you didn't see coming, subscribe and turn on notifications. Every week, this channel covers real ownership costs, the mistakes that end up costing people thousands, and how to protect your money when buying and owning a car. Now here's what's actually going on inside your engine when you push past that change interval. Motor oil doesn't just lubricate things. That's the version most people carry around, and it's not wrong, it's just incomplete. Oil is doing 5 jobs simultaneously inside your engine. It lubricates every moving metal surface so parts don't grind directly against each other. It cools components that the coolant system can never reach, internal surfaces deep inside the engine block that see extreme temperatures your radiator loop doesn't touch. It cleans by suspending combustion byproducts, metal particles, and carbon deposits in the fluid so they get trapped by the filter or drained out at your next change. It protects against corrosion and acid buildup inside the crankcase, and it seals the microscopic gaps between piston rings and cylinder walls, which directly affects compression, fuel economy, and horsepower output all at once. Pull any one of those jobs away, and the engine starts breaking down from the inside. The problem is it doesn't announce itself right away. That's exactly why neglect travels so far before people realize what's happening. The clearance between a crankshaft journal and its bearing is measured in thousandths of an inch. Oil fills that gap. It's a pressurized film constantly supplied by the oil pump, and it's the only thing keeping steel from grinding against steel at thousands of revolutions per minute. When that film weakens, when it thins from heat and age and accumulated contamination, the consequences begin building faster than most people expect, and the first stage is quiet enough that you'll drive right past it without noticing. Old oil doesn't just sit there harmlessly. It oxidizes every heat cycle, cold start, highway run, cool down in your driveway, breaks down its molecular structure a little more. The additives that actually do the real work, the detergents that clean the engine, the anti-wear agents that protect the metal surfaces they get consumed, they're designed to be consumed. The problem is that once they're depleted, adding more oil on top doesn't replace them. Those additives are gone. What remains in your crankcase is a thinner, more acidic fluid carrying a growing load of contamination it can no longer properly hold in suspension. Most people are in this window when they're 1,000 or 2 miles past their interval. The engine sounds completely normal. The oil still moves, but the protective film it generates is weaker than it was, and combustion byproducts are beginning to accumulate in places that fresh oil would neutralize and old oil simply won't. There's no warning light for gradual chemistry failure. The engine keeps running while conditions inside keep worsening. Push further, multiple intervals missed, or a consistent pattern of running 3,000 to 5,000 miles over every time, and sludge stops being abstract. Engine sludge is not a metaphor. It's a thick, dark, tar-like material that forms when oxidized oil, combustion gases, water vapor, and metal particles combine over time and bake onto the internal surfaces of your engine. It coats the inside of valve covers, narrows oil passages, and eventually clogs the pickup tube screen, the mesh screen at the bottom of the oil pan that draws oil up into the pump. The footage from torn-down engines with sludge damage is genuinely difficult to look at if you know what you're seeing. Oil passages that should be the diameter of a pencil are choked down to a fraction of that. The pickup tube screen, the oil pump's last line of filtration before it draws from the pan, is packed with dark material. When that screen restricts flow significantly, the pump starts pulling air. Oil pressure drops. The gauge may not even register it clearly because the drop is gradual rather than sudden. But every bearing in the engine is now operating with less protection than it was built for, every single mile. Some engines have been especially unforgiving about this. The Toyota 3-liter V6 in Camrys, Avalons, and Siennas from 1997 to 2006 sludged up so reliably with conventional oil that Toyota created a special customer support program to acknowledge and help cover the damage. The Volkswagen and Audi 1.8 turbocharged four-cylinder, used widely through the early 2000s, earned a well-documented reputation for sludge failures when owners stretched intervals past 5,000 miles on conventional oil. The Chrysler 2.7 V6, used in Sebrings, Intrepids, and early 300s from 98 to 2004, is widely regarded as one of the worst sludge engines ever sold in the American market. Not because these were fundamentally broken engines, they were engines that required disciplined maintenance with the right oil, and too many owners found that out only after the engine was already damaged. If you're shopping for any of these vehicles on the used market today, an internal sludge inspection before purchase is not optional. Once soil pressure drops and sludge is restricting flow, the damage becomes mechanical and permanent. Hydraulic valve lifters, which depend entirely on oil pressure to maintain proper valve timing, start ticking. Most people hear that sound and figure a fresh oil change will clear it. Sometimes it does, if it's caught early enough. More often, the lifter surface has worn to the point where the clearance is permanent. That tick is metal against metal without adequate lubrication, and it does not go away on its own. The timing chain system is the next casualty. Timing chain tensioners are hydraulic. They use oil pressure to hold proper chain tension. When pressure drops from restricted oil flow, the tensioner softens, the chain loosens, and you'll hear a distinct cold start slap that disappears once pressure builds. That sound is your timing wandering. If the chain slips a tooth on the sprocket, you're looking at bent valves and a repair between $1,000 and $2,500 just from letting oil degrade and stay degraded. Cold starts deserve their own mention because that first 5 to 10 seconds after you turn the key is the most damaging moment of any drive. Before oil pressure fully builds, every engine runs briefly with reduced film protection on its most critical surfaces. Fresh, low-viscosity, full synthetic reaches the bearings and valve train faster than thick, degraded conventional oil. In cold weather, the gap widens further. Degraded oil flows slower at low temperatures and takes longer to circulate. If you drive anywhere with real winters, the Midwest, the Northeast, the Mountain West, the cold start case for clean synthetic oil is not abstract. It's the difference between your bearings getting protected in 3 seconds versus 8 or more seconds every single morning, all winter long. Turbocharged engines have almost no tolerance for neglected oil. A turbo shaft spins at anywhere between 60,000 and 200,000 RPM. Its bearings are lubricated entirely by engine oil. There is no separate lubrication circuit. Degraded oil at startup, when it moves slowly and the turbo is already spinning up, wears those bearing surfaces a little more each time. You won't notice it for a long time. Then the turbo starts making a noise, a whine or a rattle at idle, and by that point the damage is already done. A failed turbocharger on a Ford EcoBoost, eh? Honda 1.5 turbocharged four-cylinder or any German turbocharged engine costs $1,500 to $3,500 installed at an independent shop. More at a dealership. That's one component, one repair visit for an engine that simply needed clean oil on schedule. When rod bearings and main bearings fail, you hear it immediately and unmistakably. Rod knock is a deep, rhythmic metallic thud that gets louder as engine speed rises. By the time it's clearly audible, the bearing material has worn through and a steel connecting rod is contacting the crankshaft journal directly. Steel against steel. If you've ever heard that sound coming from a car in traffic or on the highway, you know there's nothing to second guess. The engine is finished. What follows is either a seized engine, the entire assembly locks up and the car stops moving, or a thrown rod, where the connecting rod punches through the engine block entirely. A remanufactured engine for a common American sedan or crossover runs $4,000 to $9,000 installed. A new OEM engine through the dealership runs $8,000 to $15,000 or more, all of it traceable back to oil changes that cost between $35 and $120 a piece. Run the numbers. For oil changes per year using full synthetic at a shop, $80 per visit is $320 per year. Over 5 years of ownership, that's $1,600 in total preventive maintenance. If you want to cut costs responsibly, doing it yourself with synthetic oil and a quality filter. Runs $3,255 per change, which brings that 5-year total under $1,000. Either way, the number is nowhere near the cost of one engine replacement starting at $5,000 on the low end. That repair bill doesn't include a rental car while your vehicle sits in the shop for a week or two. It doesn't include missed work if that vehicle is your only transportation. There is also a group of people who don't skip changes outright, they're just consistently a little late. 3,000 miles over every interval. Doesn't seem serious? But over 3 to 4 years of ownership, that pattern means your oil spends more time in a degraded state than a fresh one. The cumulative wear is real and progressive. Even if the engine keeps running without obvious symptoms, it'll keep running. It'll just be running on borrowed time, and you won't find out until a bearing goes or the timing chain starts slapping on cold mornings and the estimate comes back at $2,000. Used car buyers face the most hidden version of this problem. The listing says well maintained, the engine bay might even look freshly detailed. Sellers learn quickly that a clean engine bay implies a cared-for car, but sludge is inside the engine, not on its exterior. The day you take ownership of a used vehicle, change the oil before you do anything else, pull the dipstick and look at what comes up. Remove the oil filler cap and shine your phone light inside. Dark, crusty deposits on the underside of the cap or thick material coating the visible valve train components, that's sludge. And now that problem belongs to you. That 60-second inspection has saved a lot of people from inheriting years of someone else's deferred maintenance at full market price. If your engine consumes oil between changes, which some do, particularly European engines and certain Japanese turbocharged units, stopping off with a quart of fresh oil is not a substitute for a change. You're adding clean oil to a pan full of degraded oil. The net result is still degraded oil. The wear doesn't pause because the dipstick reads full. If you're buying a used vehicle and the seller claims recent oil changes but can't show receipts or a service history, that's not a deal breaker on its own, but it means you need to inspect more carefully. An oil that looks jet black and has a burnt smell has been in the engine too long. An oil that looks black but smells normal is likely just dirty oil doing its job. An oil that looks milky or foamy means you have a bigger problem, coolant getting into the engine, which means a head gasket or worse. These are inspections you can do yourself in a parking lot before you hand over any money. Use full synthetic that matches your manufacturer's actual specification, not just any 5W30. Your owner's manual lists the API certification and spec code the engine was engineered to run on. BMW requires long life 04. Mercedes specifies a particular MB rating. GM vehicles need Dexos certified oil. These are engineering requirements built into the engine's design, not upsells from the service department. Check your oil level manually every 1,000 to 1,500 miles. It takes 30 seconds and it's probably the single most useful habit a car owner can build, especially on higher mileage vehicles that may consume a little between changes. Don't rely entirely on the oil life monitor. Your car calculates those systems estimate based on miles and driving conditions, not on the actual state of the oil sitting in your pan. Oil changes are not a profit scheme. They're the only regularly scheduled maintenance item your engine cannot function without the chemistry inside. Your engine was designed around clean, properly viscous oil with a complete additive package. When that oil degrades, the engine compensates until it physically cannot. Every torn-down engine from a neglected vehicle shows the same pattern: clogged passages, scored bearing surfaces, worn lifters, sludge where oil was supposed to flow freely. All of it preventable, none of it cheap. You'll spend somewhere between $35 and $120 maintaining an engine properly on a regular schedule. Or you'll spend $5,000 to $9,000 replacing one that didn't get the maintenance it needed. There is no middle option, and the engine doesn't give warnings that arrive early enough to save your wallet. In a market where used car prices remain historically elevated and new vehicles aren't much more accessible than they were 2 years ago, the most financially sound vehicle you can own is the one already sitting in your driveway, as long as you actually take care of it. That starts with oil. It ends with either a well-running car at 200,000 miles or a repair bill that could have bought you something else.